Morning. Oh, Ceviche, glad it was good, man. Yeah, I know, some people aren't at the live stream during the market, so it's helpful for the guys in the group. And I know some people aren't at the desk all day long, similar to myself for the most part. So I thought it would be, kind of a helpful thing immediately after market close. Just a quick, 10-minute, what I found notable, maybe anything that I did in the market. So glad you found that useful. Morning, Prath. Morning, Jess. Jordan. How are you guys? So, yeah, got some good responses. It's funny. It actually gets more views than these pre-market preps, which to me makes a little bit of sense because, if you're watching this at the end of the day, it's not very useful to you. This is more useful, I think, for people who are actually here in real time. Yeah, I'm hopeful that NVIDIA does not throw a wet blanket on the party. This Okta yesterday, not too cool. Morning, Justin. Morning, Nick. Jim. Morning. Yeah, Okta. I'm hoping NVIDIA doesn't pull an Okta. This is pretty big, nasty gap down right to the 50 simple. So, not like the move has to be over, but we will see what NVIDIA gives us. Maybe a good NVIDIA report. Maybe a good NVIDIA report sends this core weave finally on some more parabolic. I think that would be pretty interesting. Maybe 150 plus. Vic, good morning. If NVIDIA has a good report, there's a few semiconductors that are already acting well too, including NVIDIA itself. So we'll see how that will play out. I think that would be pretty interesting. SAP Lovin acts really well too. Yeah, QQQ is forming a base. Yeah, it's funny because you could actually you could see how correlated things are, right? You get this really nice move up off the lows. You get what kind of looks like maybe a little rounding top. A Friday, a kind of a little gap down and bought up, and then a small gap up and a continuation, right? And you could look at Amazon, fairly similar setup, right? Gap down, bought up, small gap up, continuation. Meta, same deal. Maybe just not as pronounced with the rounding top, but small gap down, bought up, small gap up, continuation. We just looked at AppLovin, slightly rounding top, gap down, bought up, small gap up, continuation. I mean, they're effectively the same damn setups. And it's the same thing all over the place. Some acted better than others. Super nice gap up. I got Tesla from lower, and hindsight, I would have added some yesterday. Like, had I known it was going to do what the hell it did yesterday, I mean, I would have doubled my position, but obviously I don't have a crystal ball, and I thought it was a little bit extended from the 50. It's the same reason I didn't buy Shaq. Right, small, a little bit of an extended move from the 50, but looked pretty damn superb. And small little shelf, right? Nice head and shoulders bottom, move above the 200, really clean consolidation, just a bit extended from the 50. That was the only problem, and we're off to the races yesterday. But it wasn't the only one, too. It was EAT, which you guys might have seen in the video yesterday, and then DRI, as I was scanning, was the other one. So big accumulation volume coming on this DRI, and then new all-time high. So these food stocks, some of them in general, are acting pretty good. Wing, same deal. Big move up off the lows, got above the 200. Just a quick little consolidation. Nothing, didn't last any time at all. And then, here we go. We're off to the races. So these consolidations aren't acting very long. Yeah, Carvana was another one. I didn't buy it. Just these consolidations are too short. It's not that they're too short. It's that we're just too extended from the 50. But it doesn't really seem to matter right now. And again, now you're getting another small little gap up in Carvana, 315, 2 points higher. And then, we could get some more follow through today. It just, I feel like a lot of things are NVIDIA dependent, right? If NVIDIA has a good report and NVIDIA continues to rip this evening and into tomorrow, you're going to get follow through pretty much in the entire market. If NVIDIA shits the bed, then you're probably going to be throwing a wet blanket on the rally for a few days or weeks. Not entirely sure, but that would kind of be the expectation. Carter, OPFI thoughts. Let's see. Yeah, it looks a lot like these other ones. The nice part is it had a little bit longer of a consolidation, move up sideways. The only issue with OPFI is it's super thin, but it's acting really nice. Yesterday was your day to buy it. But would have bought this thing yesterday. You could have bought it like 1240, 1250, 1260, anywhere between 1240 and 1260 with your stop at low of day. So, 20 to 40 cent stop on a $12 stock. And, it's acted pretty damn well. Small little gap up this morning. It's just too thin. Steve-O, good morning. Yeah, Dave, I was just going over that Carvana. I again, just a little extended for me from the 50, and that's the issue with a lot of these. And again, OPFI is fine too. It's just a little thin, right? It's not one that I could ever trade, so I never even look at it. Oh man, HSAI is so annoying. I only had a little sliver of shares left, but I bottom ticked my sells at a little bit below my average too, because I had taken most of my shares off before earnings, because I was only up like 6% on it. I didn't even have a big position to begin with, so I had 4,000 shares left of my original position, which is not much for my account, and I sold them at 1934. Professional down here, holy shit! Bottom ticked it. And then it just started ripping in the opposite direction yesterday. I'm like, no way. What the hell? That's how I was feeling yesterday. But, I feel like these names, they kind of want to go with this pony and this other shit. I mean, unbelievable. But, yeah, you can't be frustrated. I mean, at break even yesterday, how should I have managed it? I mean, I think you did the right thing, man. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to buy this dip. I mean, you could have tried it, I guess, pretty small against the 10-day, back right in here. When you started to notice this thing ripping right back up with your stop at low, if you really wanted back in this thing, right? It consolidated just underneath VWAP. And then as soon as it started to rip back through and you got your 620 set up, you probably would have ended up with like a 2050 average with like a 2019 stop. I don't know that I love that, but you'd be in there. Yeah, NVIDIA is definitely needed for the next leg up. If NVIDIA acts like Okta, it's not going to be too good. It's going to drag everything down. It's going to drag down, everything would be my expectation, but it might not. So who knows? Did I see what they did to TMC yesterday? Well, they knew high and then they slammed it down. This isn't too surprising with TMC. I mean, the fact that it even made a new 52-week high yesterday is impressive enough. I stopped looking at this thing a while ago, but that's not that weird. Look at what they did to it here. They took it from 350 all the way back down to 220. I mean, they dumped this thing 40%, in a few days. So they've been doing that to this thing. And then I don't know what the hell was this move. Oh yeah, 12% move down. I mean, this is mild. This is mild for TMC. Thoughts on any HVC? Yeah, no, it's not an HVC setup, in my opinion. I mean, sure it is, but I wouldn't be playing that. It's had no real catalyst. This looks more like just a short squeeze. Same with SMR. Same with Oklo. I like the idea of a high volume close setup on earnings, not on just some random Friday on some so-so Trump news. He's signing in some nuclear deal that we already knew was coming. I mean, I think it's just shorts having to unwind their big short position against these things. But again, I have a bias towards companies who make no money. They can normally squeeze the furthest. And they can make the most stupid moves. So you don't really want to be short against that stuff. But yeah, I've got a bias towards junky kind of companies, and that's exactly what these are. I mean, beautiful, beautiful move. Can't complain against a move like this. But, it's like when I see IONQ and people call it the next NVIDIA. It's hilarious to me. It's not the next NVIDIA. If anybody'd be the next NVIDIA in quantum, wouldn't it be IBM? The people who've been working on it for 40 years and actually have a working quantum computer. Yeah, it doesn't always perform bad during earnings. It just has more recently. Because we got so extended. But, now we've gone sideways again for multiple months. So who knows, right? This is a cup. Here's a handle. It's back above the 200. Don't want to talk too much crap about it while it's above the 200. Don't want to talk too much crap about it. Yeah, it's performed well on earnings. One right here. Nice earnings reaction there. Just started to consolidate after its third earnings reaction up there. A nothing burger right here. A little gap up there. Another gap up here. I mean, it's been mixed reviews on its earnings for a while now. Some gap up, some gap downs, but the trend has been up. Thoughts on Palantir price action? I thought it was a little odd yesterday considering the market was up. The NASDAQ was up 2% and Palantir had a kind of an ugly down move showing relative weakness most of the day. But it did bounce right off the 20. I was more interested in this thing when it was going to take out 127. So you see this ugly, nasty down day. I was looking for it to take out 127, and yesterday it couldn't quite take out and establish itself above 127. So I left it alone. Then it rolled over, and I was like, okay, cool. No big deal. Just left it alone. And then it rolled over the rest of the day. So meanwhile, the NASDAQ was up, quite a bit yesterday, and it's up again more today. So I'm not necessarily too surprised that Palantir is trying to gap up just a little bit with everything else in the market. But relative weakness was notable. And if it starts to close below the 20, I would start to get a little bit more cautious. But, this is just a cup and a handle. I mean, so, does it get going over 127, 128? Maybe. That's what it's needed. I'm not going to do anything with it until it can clear 127, 128 myself. And if it does, and the market's pressing higher, then, I would be happy to be in it. And if not, then, I would just leave it alone. Yeah, Dave and Sezzle, relentless earnings. And this is why it's important to pay attention to earnings gappers. People will watch their favorite stock get smoked on earnings and be like, oh, it's gone down too low. And then all of a sudden, they're trying to catch a bottom for a whole quarter on a stock that's just getting beaten up versus focusing on a stock that's going higher. And Sezzle and Dave fit the bill. Am I risking a fixed percent per each trade or sizing dramatically based on setup? No, I wouldn't use the word dramatically. But let's just say I had no traction in the market, right? My first, while I'm trying to get myself traction in the market, I normally don't have my risk per trade might be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4%. And it has a lot to do with sizing. I like to keep my position, and also obviously a stock's average daily range and where my stop is. But, if a stock has a 4% stop to low of day, then, and I have a 10% position, then I'm risking 0.4. I'm risking 0.4% of the portfolio. And I don't go plowing into too many positions all at once, right? I let the market pull me in behind traction and behind a proliferation of more setups. That's how I know I'm in a good market. If I'm gaining traction on the clean setups that I understand, and I'm gaining traction from there with tight risk on my first position, and then tight risk on my second position, and then tight risk on my third position. I always have tight risk. But as the market becomes more friendly, I'm gaining traction on my prior positions. And then the market's giving me more and more setups to buy. So, yeah, I added to a small piece of Uber yesterday as a higher low setup off of the 20 simple moving average. So I added a little piece yesterday, effectively closed flat on it. And then I also added Snow as a high volume close setup. So, yeah, Uber looks pretty good. Yeah, definitely hammer. Progressive exposure is correct. That is exactly how I view it. And no, I don't want to double or triple my position on something high conviction, right? I mean, there are times where I only take a 5% position, and this might be because I'm trading a biotech, I'm trading a small cap, it's got a wide stop, right? I've got no exposure to the market, so I just want to dip my toe, right? Something like that. But, and if it's a tight setup, when I bought Netflix at 1,019 and I've got a $14 stop, that's a percent, right? 1 point something percent. I think it was even less. So you're risking 0.1 and it was a 10% position, right? With, with Tesla, Similar deal. It was a 10% position. It was a little bit more than 10%. So, that's kind of how I treat it. It really just depends how tight the setup is, how quickly it moves, etc. Any thoughts on a firm? It's a laggard. Yeah, it's nice that it's consolidating, but it's a laggard below the 200. Right? Okay, so, Choo-choo, this is what I always will tell people. So, thought experiment. Would you rather buy on a breakout a firm of this shitty consolidation that's lagging, or AVGO from this beautiful consolidation that's not lagging? Would you rather buy a firm from this shitty consolidation or Carvana pushing out of this nice little high type flag? Would you rather buy a firm or would you rather buy CEG from that little tight consolidation above the 200? Would you rather buy a firm or would you rather buy, I could keep going if you want, right? So like even Tesla yesterday coming out of its little beautiful consolidation above the 200. So it's like, yeah, it says like you have to like rank them, right? Like when you're scanning and you've got all your nice setups and then, you're like going through that, like where does a firm fall on the list? By the time you get down to, okay, yeah, I would buy a firm, right? You might be out of money because it's number 17 on the list, right? You're out of money. You're trying to get yourself into the 16 names above it. Would you buy a firm or would you have bought EAT above the 200, a stock that never even lost the 200, right? And it also had a move up and a nice consolidation too, right? Would you rather have bought, a firm or Shake Shack out of its little consolidation? So it's like, that was above its 200. So you always have to kind of weigh them, right? It's not always perfect. But just weigh the setups in your head and like go back. Would a firm or this one, next one, or that one? And all of a sudden you'll get to the answer that, holy shit, you know what? Let me just scratch a firm off the list completely. Right? This thing's terrible. And then, that's kind of what happens. And what makes it even easier, you'd say to yourself, is a firm in a good group, right? Let me just check what group a firm is in right now. A firm is in data processing group number 90 for the last month, right? Group number 108 for the last 3 months. So the reality is that you should probably just scratch it, right? Put your attention in things that are in the top 40 groups, right? For instance, AVGO in the last month is group number 8, right? Group number 8. Versus a firm, group number 90. So, you know what I mean? I think that's just like the easiest way to like mentally like just visualize it. Just say this thing's in a shitty group. Yeah, forget it. And you don't want to waste your time. Yeah, no problem, Choo-choo. Happy to help, man. They don't have to be aligned perfectly, Kaysen. They don't have to be perfectly aligned. What I want to see is, one, what I just mentioned, is it in a good group? 2, is it coming out of a tight consolidation? And I don't always need it to be perfectly sideways. I can go for a higher low setup too. So a higher low setup is helpful. You can use, to figure out what group a stock is in, you can use FinViz, which is free. You can use Market Surge or Deep View, which are both paid for. FinViz is fine if you don't want to pay for anything. BTSG, you haven't seen me mention it. There's probably a reason for it. Actually, I don't know what the reason would be for it, actually. Trade $60 million, so it's not super illiquid. Do I have any complaints about this thing? Trade $60 million a day, trades 4.4%. I don't know what would be my complaint about it. Oh, there it is. Group 133. I mean, that's the only real thing that I can see wrong with this thing. Healthcare services. Bright Spring Healthcare Services. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Trades a little thin intraday. But, 60 million bucks a day, not totally illiquid. Recent IPO. I don't hate it, Victor. I guess I need to do a little bit better job of scanning. It's got this overhead supply here that it's got to clear. Right? Over 25 bucks good, below 25 bucks no good. Let the 50 catch up. That moves 4% per day, and it's up about 6 times its average daily range from the 50. You think you like PayPal more than Affirm? Yeah, I like neither. This thing's below the 200. I don't really see the need for it. That's just the reality. It's like, why would you need PayPal in your sub-industry group number 54? Yeah, I don't really see the need for it in the portfolio. Right? There is no need for any stocks below the 200 right now, guys. There's just way too many stocks acting awesome. Whether it be Hood, right, or Palantir, or Uber, or Dave, Sezzle, right? I mean, these all gave clean setups with high volume closes. Netflix, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, NVIDIA, AVGO, Toast, TMDX. I mean, guys, I could literally keep going. CLS, GEV, CG, VST. I mean, all of these, Shake Shack, Eat, DRI. I mean, guys, AppLovin. How about some Meta? I mean, guys, there's just no need for crap stocks right now. If your stock is below the 200, throw it in the trash. SE, Carvana. Yeah, I just ran through, most of my watch list. That looks pretty amazing. A-Lab, TSM. If your stocks reside below the 200, you just don't need it, Newman. Just throw it out. Throw it in the trash. If it's not above the 200 at this point, it's garbage. As Mike Tyson would say, you garbage. Yeah, just throw it out. You don't need to be looking at it right now. Let its group strengthen. Let the stock set up above the 200, and then you come in and buy it. Don't do the heavy lifting. Oh, man, I appreciate you, Dolvent. Yeah, happy to help, man. I'm just happy that so many of you guys show up every single morning to ask questions. So I enjoy it. I'm already at my screens anyway. So, I scan the night before. I do my watch list every evening. And then, I'm here before the market open anyway. So I'm just happy I can help. It depends, Hammer Trader. It depends. So like between Market Surge, FinViz, and Deep View, they all rank industry group. So like with Market Surge, they have 197 industry groups, and with Deep View, they've got 165. So a little bit more condensed in the way that they look at the market. They pair a few more groups together. But again, anything below group 40, Hammer, just throw it out, right? Group 90 doesn't matter if it's one group industry subgroup off, they'll call it the sub industry group or industry group. If it's below 40, don't even pay attention to it. Doesn't matter if it's, one or the other. It'll be in that area, but you're looking at it right. It's just the way these things are, like between services. They kind of have their industry groups either more compressed or more expanded. Yeah, I saw that Joby news with Toyota, and they plan on pumping in more money. Yeah, good for them. To me, Archer is the leader. Archer's the one that made a new all-time high, it looked like. And then, Joby is your one getting the pump today behind Toyota. But this isn't new news. Toyota's done this already. So this thing has had Toyota news in the past. Toyota's invested in them quite a bit. I think they're investing like $250 million, and they're going to have like another, like $850 million at some point. What time is it here? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Kava versus Eat. Yep, same group, different charts. Yeah, one looks absolutely miserable, and the other one looks fantastic. This is why I would say absolutely focus on stocks, above their 200. All right, some can be going up in the group, some can be going down, but it hurts the group when some are going down. It really helps the group when all of them are going up. No, yeah, I do post my daily watch list in the room. Yeah, it's just, Corey, it's just preference. I like simples on the daily, and then exponentials on the hourly. So for the hourlies, the way it works is it gives more weight to the most recent price bars for exponential. And then for simple, it gives equal weight to all of them, right? So when you're looking at the 200 simple moving average, it weighs all 200 bars equally. With exponential, it weighs the most recent bars a bit more. Any thoughts on Twilio? Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty good. This is a software name. Thanks for putting this back on my radar, man. I appreciate that, actually. Looks good. Kind of got hit, held the 200, came right back to life, now consolidating quite a bit, and it's not very extended. Thanks for throwing this on my radar. Yeah, it could be valid to buy Archer above yesterday's highs. Yeah, could be. Just be cautious with your size, man. These things move way too violent. Like I don't know about 10% position in names like this. Could be. Yeah, Archer could be a higher low setup. But just be careful on your sizing, right? Everything is NVIDIA dependent. If NVIDIA gets hit, yeah, who knows? Yeah, Spotify is a bit of a laggard right now, right? Spotify looked like it was going to go break out yesterday and then hit all-time high and then rejected. Not on big volume, but the market was up yesterday and Spotify was red on the day. Not really what I wanted to see. And, if this thing were acting better, how it had like this left side peak and all-time high, it would have already broken out by now and by quite a bit, because I think I compared a little bit to Netflix, and Netflix broke its left side February peak, ends of April, and has just been trending higher. it's 15% higher than, that February high. Spotify is still kind of stuck there. And, it's not acting the best. Could be acting better. So I don't really, care for it. Ooh, DJT. You're in Rocket Lab? Depends when you bought. I bought Rocket Lab like crap myself. Yeah, it depends. If you bought it yesterday and you bought it like $27, yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting rid of a little portion up 10%. Get rid of a little portion, trail the rest, right? Like sell 20% and keep the rest. That's sometimes how I do it. Depends where and how you bought it. If you bought this thing down here, then you probably already had trimmed some. Like I thought right out of this tight day was super nice. But could very well just keep going. Yeah, Palantir was a bit weird yesterday. I talked about this one a little bit ago. 127, 128 is the area I'll be watching. There's like a level of supply right in here that I'll be keeping an eye on. $127, $128 area. Needs to get back up above that. Yeah, for Twilio, it just needs to get going above 117.5. Looks good. Yeah, Microsoft is so close to an all-time high, but without a real consolidation. So impossible to buy this thing. And it's only $6 away from all-time highs. This looked like it was about to have an ugly breakdown and then just a massive gap up on earnings and then just grinding higher from there. Yeah, I thought Tesla was good. I didn't add any myself because I already have a 293 average, basically, just under 293. I wish I would have added, had I known, that this was going to go like the way it did. If I knew it was going to do this, believe me, I would have added more. I would have added many more. But hindsight's 2020. I didn't add any more. I talked about it yesterday on live stream. I thought, that 348 to 350 level looked pretty good. And sure enough, gone. But I didn't add. I already have a plenty big position, so I don't need more. I'm just kind of watching this thing. If the market begins to stay heavy or act a little off or funky or funny, bless you. If this starts to act a little funny, then I am going to peel some off because I do still have a full position from 293 and, I'm up almost $75 a share. So I think it would be good to make sure that I get paid on some of that. But really, really nice move. And I almost don't want to sell any. But at the same time, I do got to get paid at some point. It is up 20% too. 24%. Yeah, I have used O'Neill's 8-week rule. Yeah, so basically, if you get a 20% move quickly, you got to hold it for 8 weeks. And I'm on week number 4 right now. I don't know. I don't know that I have 4 more weeks of patience, man. If I do, I'll let you know. But yes, we'll see. We will see. Like I said, I am patient, but Rocket Lab thoughts depends where you bought it. Yeah, it depends where you bought it. It's acting great right now. So as long as it doesn't start to act heavy, and like fail in the morning and then every pop, just kind of stuff, then, I think it looks fine. Datadog, DDOG, similar to Twilio. Yeah, but it's below the 200. So just let it reestablish itself above the 200. You hate how TEM trades? Yeah, me too. Like shit. What is this kind of nasty fail in the morning? Is there looks like there is Team Spruce Point Capital Management announces investment opinion, releases report and a strong sell research opinion on Tempest AI. Well, there you go. Spruce Capital Management. My thoughts on HIMS, I had it on watch as a higher low setup, but it needed to clear 56.55 and it never did. So at the open yesterday, I needed above 56.55 and it never did. So, if it can't get above there, then leave it alone. I mean, it also had this superb move up, 140% off the lows, so it's just going sideways, while the 50 continues to catch up. I think looks pretty good. And if it can get over, 56.55, I'd still be a buyer. App Lovin' is acting great. I wish I would have bought this thing yesterday too, but never did. So, it acted better than the Uber I was watching. I mean, I own Uber already, but, I was trying to play it as a higher low setup. App Lovin' was clearly the better choice. But no, I didn't buy it, and I will keep my eyes on it. If I bought Rocket Lab on 514, how much would I have left? Yeah, well, this was the perfect day to have bought it. At this point, I'd have half left. Half. Half, and then if it were to go to like 31, 32 bucks, I would be down to, like 30%. But I like selling half into like a, 20% 3 to 5 day move, which is what you got. So from like an entry at like 22.60s to, 25.80s, a $3 push, sell half, trail the rest on the ascending 10. And I wouldn't do anything till it closes below the 10. If it gets extended from the 50, then you trim some more. But otherwise, just let it work. What's my thoughts on EQT? I love the little flag it's forming. Yeah, I love this little flag. I don't know if this means that it's done going higher, but EQT, CRK, similar flag, new 52-week high, and AR, who's the other one? Similar deal, right? I mean, look at this thing. Talk about a little bull flag. Boom. A little cup handle. Does it start to take out these highs? I don't know. Little cup and a handle, not extended from the 20 or the 50. Looks pretty good. Looks like a whole weekly reversal going on this thing. Like it's probably going higher. Big weekly base. Big old weekly base. Makes me think AR is going higher, but not sure. Looks great though. Looks really, really good. Yeah, so that's how my a lot assignment is set up. My lot assignment is last in, first out. Thoughts on WRD? Trash. So bad. Hot garbage. Yeah, QBTS. Yeah, QBTS is I don't like these quantum name guys. They don't make money. The one that's probably even easier to short is QUBT. I mean, dude, they did like $32,000 in revenue. I mean, I take bigger paper cut losses when I'm wrong. Where was the spot to buy App Lovin' over prior day high? Right, so you would have been looking at 356.55. Right, so in the morning you get this little pullback, and it bounces right off that level. And then when you start to notice that, and you get like a reclaim of VWAP, you begin to get what's called a 620 setup, where your 6-period moving average crosses above your 20. So it would have been something like, 363 with your stop at low of day. So if you had a 363 with a stop at low of day, you're risking 2% to low of day on a 10% position. So you're risking 0.2% for your risk, right? Or you buy it as it came right into prior day low as a starter, and then you averaged up a little bit. So your risk would have been even smaller. Even on a 10% position, you just wait. Apple only mag 7 below 200. Do I think it's a no-brainer? Yep, I think it's a no-brainer that you leave it alone. 100% it's a no-brainer that you leave it alone. I don't see any reason why you need to own it. Don't use your buying power on that crap. AMSC's cool, just needs to establish itself above the 200. Nice move higher, but no real consolidation here. So, like, where do you buy it to limit risk from? I don't see a good spot. Yeah, WMB, same sector as EQT. Yep. WMB, big base on this thing too. Humongous base. And then LB is the other one with a really big base too. I talked about IBM earlier. Yeah, they're the real quantum company. This is an actual quantum stock. They actually have a working quantum computer and a real business to boot. How about that? I think it's too slow. Leave it alone. You don't need to own this. Trades 2% per day. If anything, just, recommend it to your grandma or something. She'll thank you for it. Hood looks fine, just needs more sideways. Right? Very extended from the, not very extended from the 50, but too extended from the 50 to buy. Looks good though. Yeah, LB looks amazing. Hate the sector. Yeah. Can I elaborate why I didn't trim my Tesla position when it dropped to 333? Because my plan was to hold it, because this little pullback didn't even close below the 10-day moving average. Right? When this thing pulled back to 333, if I didn't sell it on this day here when it was at 333 on 519, why was I going to sell it on 521? Right? It was still holding the 10-day. So, like, this literally did nothing wrong on 521. All it did was come back down to 519 lows and hold the 10-day. Right? Did nothing wrong at all. Well, like, even if you look at your 60-minute chart, what did it do wrong? It just came down to the ascending 200 EMA on the 60-minute. Excuse me, guys. We got the blender going in the house. Hey, my love. Sorry, guys. We got the blender going. Sorry, babe. You're good. Sorry, guys. She's whipping up some breakfast, I guess, and the blender was required. But yeah, with Tesla, that 333 level, there's nothing wrong with it. So, I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And again, my plan was to trail this thing, not to sell it. I know. Yeah, no. I said it gently. I'm not mad. I need breakfast more than you guys need to hear me. But yeah, that was it. It's like, it was just building sideways. Like, I knew that the move up got a little much. So I knew that some sideways would be completely healthy. No big deal. So, and now it's like, okay, now we have another little leg up. If the market starts to falter a little bit, I don't want to hold this thing back down 30 points. I'm okay holding it back down 30 points, but I need to make sure that I'm out half, right? So now that we've gotten another little push, I am using this 20 simple moving average. And ideally, by the time I get stopped out, whenever the hell that happens, this 20 is well above 333. Oh, hey, buddy, would you cut it out? Jeez, got the dogs, got the blender. Yeah, Uber could be a higher low setup. I am watching it today as well for more ads. I added on a really, really small piece. So I initially had 14,000 shares of Uber. I had got myself trimmed down enough to 5,000 shares. And then yesterday I just added on 2,500. So I'm essentially back at half of what I originally had. And now it's just a matter of seeing if I can't piece myself back up into Uber. Has enough sideways happened in VRT? Yeah, VRT looks pretty good. It's trying to flag above the 200. Again, guys, we have NVIDIA earnings today. I'll leave you guys with this. We have NVIDIA earnings this after hours. Don't get too aggressive in a bunch of stocks before that. So, we're going to deal with some volatility, whether up or down, because of NVIDIA. So let NVIDIA earnings hit this afternoon. See what the reaction is like. Have a really nice watch list ready to go for tomorrow. And, if the market begins to fade, have a stock or two that could be potentially shortable. If the market begins to rip, have one of these little nice consolidations, whether it's a VRT or, AVGO or Tesla, and you're buying the gap up on something like that. So keep your eyes on NVIDIA this afternoon, and I will see you guys in 23 hours. Thank you guys for being here.